We are on the build-up to official Strongman, Ireland's strongest man, just 1 week left, and we're happy to be joined by Dean Doyle. Thanks very much for joining us, Dean.
Thank you very much for having me, Mark.
So, like I've said to all the other athletes, I'd say the biggest question that you're being asked at the moment is, how is the training going? How are you feeling? So you're going to hear it one more time. How's everything going for you?
Training is going really well. I had a few little issues with my left bicep for a little while there, actually only up until last week. I was up training with Killian when Killian sent that message out that time for everyone to come up. They're more than welcome up to GSP. So I went up and I thought I had calmed down a bit, but up there on log was the biggest issue. I couldn't lower the log to my chest. That was when the bicep, it just felt like it was about to snap. I still don't know what the issue was, but it's gone, thank God. But it didn't bother me on sandbag, but mentally I was afraid on sandbag that, okay, I know my strength is good enough. I know my speed is good enough. Is it worth taking that risk of loading a sandbag when I know I can? So I decided to not do the sandbag on that training session and previous sessions before that. I just stayed with a light sandbag just to get my confidence back. And then I just had to kind of realize, okay, if I'm going to be a contender in this competition, I'm going to have to just block this out, stop in a soft buy, and just get it done. But lucky enough, when I went back into training maybe 2 weeks ago now, my bicep felt really good. There was no pains. I did a recovery with the compression cuffs on the arms, and that made a huge difference. So I went along then and I did the loading race 2 or 3 times since then, and touch wood, it's went absolutely amazing. So, and everything else in training is very good. I actually only did my first stone session last week, and I loaded the 160 stone up onto a height that I never did. But stones is something that I, without being overly cocky, it's not something I really need to train. People don't know it, but I'm very good at stones. I train stones with the likes of Nicky Whelan for years, and Nicky is one of the best in the country. Stones always has been. So I've learned a lot from him doing stones. And even with David Jones as well, I've learned a lot from him with stones. But I would classify myself as one of the best stone lifters, to be fair. It's an event that I'm very, very confident going into.
Has the fact that you had that injury and obviously were holding back, like you say, a little bit mentally, you can be a little bit nervous coming up to a big competition, not to aggravate it too much. Has that held you back from hitting the weights in training that you would have wanted, or are you happy enough that you've hit pretty much everything?
It held me back. See, when I'm training for a competition, I like to go above the comp weights. I prefer to go above the comp weights. Then it's kind of more of it's less stress on the day. But this prep, I didn't get to go above the comp weights. I did it on deadlift. That was the only thing I went above comp weights on. My deadlift, was the first time I've used a suit, which I used one actually. That's a lie. I used one about 2 years ago when I was getting ready for the Log and Deadlift Championships in Liverpool at the FitX. And I had my first session, I pulled 370 kilos in it. And I went into my second session and I failed 300. So I was like, suit just doesn't suit me. So I got rid of it. And now I got a lended one off Nicky Whelan because I'm after bulking up a little bit. I can fit into his suit. So, but now I'm against suits big time. I don't believe they should be allowed in this sport. I think they should be just for powerlifting only, because I think it doesn't prove who has the strongest back. I know for a fact I can get 50 kilos of a suit. Okay. So I think, and I'm using a single ply, and I know I can get 50 kilos of a single ply suit. So even the deadlift for the show, the comp weight, I find it relatively easy rep-wise. So I don't know. I wish it was just no suit, because I think then it'd separate the men from the boys.
This is one of the things that I spoke about in the build-up video and a couple of little chats I had before with people, that the deadlift is the one move where a couple of athletes would definitely be hoping that it would have been a little bit heavier, because 320 is heavy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's about, separating the strongest in the country. And definitely there are a few there that, 320 is going to be very manageable for them.
I think so as well. I think it would have been better to have 340. 340 would have been nice with the axle. Like, people don't classify me as a good deadlift. If they're talking about me, to talk about pressing or talk about the Doyle brothers of pressing. But we're individual, so we're separate people when it comes to competing. But people have to keep in mind that Ireland's strongest man, I did beat Killian on deadlift. I did beat Sean Diver on deadlift. The only person I didn't beat was Johnny Kelly, as that man on the day was a pure freak when it came to deadlift. So, and Johnny's an amazing athlete. Killian is an absolute amazing athlete, a lovely guy. Same with Sean. I have very good time for them all. But I nearly had Sean at Ireland. So that was kind of, for me, was a massive stepping stone, because last year he was the winner. The year before, he was the winner. And I was nowhere near him. I was 7th. This year I was 4th, right behind Sean. So I think I've proved myself that I'm stepping up.
And that's a very good point there. With looking at Ireland's, you were, I think it was 3 points in it from the 4th place to that 3rd place. You came first, joined first in the log. But the other events, everyone sort of looks at the log and sort of goes, yeah, like you say, the Doyle brothers, they're very, very good at that. The axle or the car deadlift was 3rd, I believe, and then you came 4th in one of the other events as well. So you're definitely improving across the board, and like you say, very close to that podium position. So you can see the progress coming up and up, and the guys that are competing at this competition are guys that you've proven yourself against before. How much confidence does that give you going into this comp, that you've already faced it down with these guys?
See, it gives me a lot of confidence in a way, but in one way, I'm my worst enemy. So I doubt myself a lot. I'm not one of those people that 100% believes in himself. I'll always doubt and think, okay, have I did enough? What if they're doing this and they're doing that? I know the other guys in their interviews said that they don't really watch what the other athletes do. I watch what every other athlete does. Because the simple thing is, if I'm looking at the way they're doing a sandbag and I think, okay, the way I'm doing it is not as good as them, and I might maybe be able to take a second off my time by using their technique, I'll try it. Because I coach myself. I used to be coached by Graham Hicks, but now I coach myself. And that was simply because Graham's an amazing coach, but I wasn't financially stable to afford a coach. So for me, I have a very average job. It's the training and all that is on the back foot. Work is first. But saying that, I'm proving that you can work a normal job. You don't have to have much money to be very good at the sport, and I do believe I can be potentially one of the best in this sport. So, but with the other athletes, I've been focused a lot on the likes of McKeegan, Killian, my brother, Jack Harkin. He's a very strong lad too. Jack did win Republics 3 years ago, I think, but Jack has been very, very strong lad. His log is very impressive. It's very good. But I think this year, when it comes to the log, which is only one event, I think everyone's focused on this log. You be good at log, you're not winning no competition. You have to worry about the rest of the events. In Ireland, I'm by far the best in Ireland on super yoke. That's not going to win a competition. I'm decent enough at log. You need to be all round. You need to be, and I find in this competition, I'm definitely all round. I don't have a weakness in this competition.
I think you've hit on a good point there, that an awful lot of the focus has been on the log, and even in the interviews, it always seems to come back to the log for some reason.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of that is because there are quite a few very strong log pressers at this competition, whereas, like you said there, the other events, there are certain people that will stand out. So the log is the one where you're going, oh God, anyone could take this. But the other events, there's maybe 2 or 3 up the top where you're going, yeah, they're the ones for this event.
Yeah.
Looking at the events as a whole, like log, you're obviously looking very strong on that. The other events, are there ones where you're looking at going, yeah, I can definitely take this event? Or are they all just sort of going, well, if I do top 3 in that, I will be happy?
Well, my aim is top 3 in every event. That's my aim going in. But I do have certain events that I find are a banker for me also. Like super yoke. I don't see anyone beat me on super yoke. If they do, I'd be very, very shocked. So even in training, I can do bad on super yoke in training. But when it comes to super yoke on the day, it's one of those events I don't need to train overly much. To be honest, I think, not just in Ireland, but I think if you put me in a super yoke, again, the best athlete in the world, I'm going to have a chance. So I know I could beat a lot of the pros in super yoke. And the heavier it is, the better. The most I did on super yoke was back in 2019 or 18 training with Hafþór Júlíus. I did 560 kilos for 20 meters. So super yoke is something, and I can kind of hold my speed no matter how heavy it is. I got beat before by Gav McNamee, which now he's a phenomenal athlete, but the super yoke was just too light, and I'm not that fast. Like I'm fast, but not as fast as someone at that body weight. But I can run just as fast as I did on that day with 350. I can do that every bit as quick with 420. And I predicted now that I'll finish the super yoke in 13 seconds.
13 seconds. That's impressive with a turn as well. That's very, very impressive if you do. The body weight side of things, because the yoke is one of those things that, like you said, Gav will be great up until a certain weight because he's super quick. He's one of those athletes that's lightning. But as the weight of the yoke increases, the body weight does need to come up as well. Your current body weight, what are you sitting at the moment?
I'm sitting at 125 kilos now. So for me, it's the heaviest I've ever been, but I've did it nice and slow. So in Ireland, I was 115. So I've gained 10 kilos since Ireland, and it's not too bad a weight for strongman, but I didn't lose any speed, and I kept my fitness, so I'm fitter than I was in Ireland. But I do believe the extra body weight has helped an awful lot when it comes to super yoke, when it comes to log, even when it comes to deadlift. To have that little bit of an extra gut to actually push from the legs, I do find it has helped a bit. So I'm confident with extra body weight.
Going back to the issues that you have had before, sometimes with, I suppose, what you call it, the mentality times where some things just don't go to plan on the day. And I've asked this a couple of times where athletes have struggled with this. Is it a case of just if one thing goes wrong, it can sort of play on your mind? Or is it just personal life? Sometimes, like everyone, sometimes personal life is just getting in the way a bit, or that it's affecting you. What's the cause if it happens to you?
I think if it happens on the day when it comes to an event, I used to be the worst in the world by never letting that out of my head. I'd be constantly thinking the whole day. My competition was ruined, and this is why, notoriously, I didn't do that well in previous competitions until this year. And this year, I think I've showed, because I've won Republics this year and fourth in Ireland. And then last year, I did UK's under 105, and I was a lot better than I expected because mentally, I was in such a better place. Now, saying that, that's training-wise. Life-wise, mentally, I wasn't in the best place last year. I've had a good bit of stuff kind of in the way of training. And there were just things that I couldn't put to a side. They had to be dealt with. It was simple as that. But this is the first competition that I've did in 4 years where I genuinely have nothing in my way. But I think if you do, you just have to just move on. You just move on and take it step by step, event by event. You won't always be the best. No matter what, you won't always be the best. There's going to be someone in this competition that's more than likely going to shock me and beat me on probably my best event. And if they do, hats off, fair play to them. They've worked hard. But I don't see it happen on Super Yoke, all right, but I could see it happen on some events maybe. But I know I will be in the top part of the show, hopefully. I do believe top 3 in every single event. I do genuinely believe that. And I know I worked hard enough for it. I know I deserve it. And I don't shit talk. I kind of just, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But I think mentally, I'm in a very, very good place right now to compete. Like the arm is just an issue, but every athlete going into this competition has a niggle. Every one of them have, no matter what they say, you have a niggle. If you don't have a niggle, you didn't train hard enough.
I was just going to say, I think everyone I've spoke to pretty much has said, oh, well, I've got this thing, but I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I think if you're in strongman, you're going to have an injury all the time at somewhere.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something there about you don't shit talk. Obviously, coming up to this, there's been quite a lot of back and forth between. I'm sure you've seen some of it.
Yeah.
The majority of it is banter, and it's all fun and games, and just lads having a bit of a dig at each other. But there's obviously some fractures between certain athletes as well.
Yeah.
Do you just try and sort of stay away from that? Do you see it as a little bit of a distraction for other athletes? Do you enjoy sort of watching it all happen, or what way do you feel about it?
I enjoy watching it. I kind of hope they keep it going now, and I kind of hope they really get under each other's nose, because that way then they're just going to focus on each other, and they're not going to see the likes of us that don't care about any of that stuff coming up in the back and just like, passing them. But no, I think it's fun though. It is fun for the sport. Like, it's good. Like, I know there's a bit of controversy here with this log press, especially with athletes. Like, who's going to win? Is it Jack? Is it Dylan? It's not going to be me. I'm not winning the log. I know that. So, I think the main people for log is Jack and Dylan, but they're both amazing log pressers. I'm not just saying this because he's my brother, but I don't see anyone touching Dylan on log. And if they do, fucking hell, they're world class, because his log is genuinely world class. Last week I did an EMOM with a 170 log, so every minute on the minute with 170, and for me that's very, very good. But then the brother went in and he just like did reps with it off his chest like it was nothing. So kind of makes you feel a little bit shit. But then I'm going, oh, I'm better at the next event though, so I don't mind it. But it's, I think the banter between them, especially this Jerkleys guy, he's a genuinely nice guy, but he's very funny. Like, he's very funny, and the stuff that he says, I love it. To be fair, I just hope you don't bring my name into it. So,
you've stayed safe so far. I don't think you've been in a meme, but then again, when this interview goes out, you never know.
Yeah.
Jer is just sitting at the back, just stirring away, just trying to get everyone worked up, and it's working quite well.
It's working. It's good. I can see it getting to a few lads as it is, but like, I don't know. I think it's really good. It's good for the sport. It's good fun. Like, we're all friends at the end of the day. That's the best thing about the sport. It's a very supportive sport with other athletes. Like, I genuinely wish the best for each athlete. I respect every athlete that's competing. There's a lot of athletes there that I have a lot of time for. Some athletes I don't really know that well. Like Jerkleys, I just know him social media wise. I met him once or twice, but I wouldn't be that close to him because I just haven't really met him. But everyone else I'm very close to. Like Kyle McGowan, he is the nicest guy I've ever competed against. He genuinely is. He's a lovely, lovely guy. Same with McKeegan. Even though McKeegan, he wants to beat everyone, but he's a nice guy when it comes to it on the day. He still help you, and all the lads are. Like, if you're looking for something in a gear bag, they're going to give it. You don't have it, they're going to give it to you. You're missing a belt, they're going to give it to you. Because at the end of the day, it's right. If you want to beat everyone that's there, you want to beat them at their best. So if they're missing something, they can use that as an excuse. So if you have it, give it to them. Where's your excuse now? They don't have it. But I love it. It's a very family sport. I find it's like a big family.
It is one of those. I don't think there's any other sport where if you're standing beside a guy, you might be in first place, he's in second place, and he's going out for a deadlift, say, to beat you, that you will go, oh, here, do you have chalk, or do you have and you'll actually help him beat you, but not directly. But it's definitely one of those sports where it's all about the actual sport rather than the huge sort of competition between each athlete. The other side of it, obviously, with this is the route to Worlds. Now, the winner of this gets that ticket to Giants Live. Is that a dream for you? I'm sure it probably is. But to get to a Giants Live show, how amazing would that be?
Well, I tell you, I started watching Strongman in 2010. That's when I started watching it with a guy. He's married to my auntie. Tommy Quinn is the guy's name. And I remember watching it in his house, and this was looking at Derek Poundstone and Mikael Clive back then in 2010 doing a World's Strongest Man. They were doing a log record, and Big Z was at the show. I remember watching that back then going, Jesus Christ, I'd love to do that sport. But genuinely never thought I'd be good enough for it. And about maybe 2 years later, so Tommy got me into the gym, but 2 years later I went to the Hook, which is a gym down here, which is owned by Ross 3D, and Ross had the full setup for us to train. And I said, right, I'll give it a go. I was crap. I was absolutely crap. There was a log. I was so crap. My overhead was my worst event when I started. I couldn't press 80 kilos over my head when I first started. But yet, if you gave me a dumbbell, I could probably press 70 kilos in one arm. I was no good at both arms. I just didn't have any static shoulder power. I was very bad at it. But one thing was, I was determined to be good. So I got in with the right lads. I got in with Nicky Whelan, Paul Roberts, Shay Ryan, all the lads. The brothers started training with me. And I just went from there, but I never missed a session. I got obsessed with it. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I became weird, I'm going to say, because I wouldn't go on nights out because it would have affected my training. I stopped hanging around with certain friends because it would have affected my training. And back then, I think I was single for maybe 3 years because I had no interest in women. All I wanted was to do was train. But my biggest goal was, and I remember right now when I was in school, it's a dream as well and gone now because I was way behind on it. But when I was in school, I remember writing WSM 2016 on my book. And I remember that's what I wanted was World's Strongest Man 2016. And that didn't happen. But one day I promise you I will be at World's Strongest Man. That is my dream. And I know I'll make it come true. And this is a stepping stone to make that happen. This is why this show genuinely means the world to me. And this route, to actually have this route, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I never seen it coming. I thought you'd have to do an online qualifier. But the fact that it's so close, I know when I say close, 4.5 hours away from us, but I don't care. I drive 50 hours for something like this. So I'm really, really happy with it, really happy. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for all the athletes. And they all should be very grateful for it.
It's just such, like you say, it's such an opportunity that everyone just wants to grab at it with as much enthusiasm as they can.
Yeah.
The fact that it is just, it sounds so easy, but it's winning one show, coming top 3 in the second show, and then you get that ticket for World's Strongest Man. Like, it's obviously a very tough route, but it's only a short route at the same time.
It is, and if cards go right, like you even look at, I'm going to use Pa as an example here. Pa, when it comes to a lot of the Giants live shows, he's down the bottom of the table. But people need to remember, there was that 1 year where he was really close to Tom Stoneman. It all depends on the set of events you're given. If the events for Britons are the same as this Ireland qualifier, there's nothing stopping whoever wins this show next Saturday making it to World's Strongest Man in their first Britain's Strongest Man. If they do really well, there's nothing stopping them. It's the same events. They have no excuse. If the events are right, for anybody, if you have the right events, you can beat anybody. It doesn't matter. As long as you've no weak events. You give Super Yoke, with, let's say, 400 kilos, you put in a deadlift 320 or whatever, like this show. A lot of people, I think, could put it up against the lads in Britain too. The Irish standard is stepping up. The Irish standard is stepping up big time. You look at Ireland's Strongest Man 4 years ago, they would have had maybe a 300 kilo deadlift as a max or 320 as a max lift. We're doing 320 for reps now. You would have had a winner of a log 150, 160. You're looking at a lot of people going into this show that are going to be doing close to 180, if not more. Like, I think the Irish standard has really stepped up big time. I think the Irish athletes, they're deserving to go a lot further. And for Dave and all them to be making this happen, I thank him a lot. And I really appreciate it big time.
That's a huge sign for why Giants Live and Official Strongman obviously are coming into the country and start to take a proper look again, because I think you're right. I think the level has come up so much, and the interest from viewers at home has just risen so much that they've gone, well, we have to be in Ireland now because there's so much talent actually there. When you look at the competition lineup, and we've obviously had a couple of dropouts, or people that probably won't be there. We're not sure yet, but probably won't.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed that there are some names that you would have liked to compete against that have dropped out?
To be honest, the three lads, the three main lads that I know have dropped out, I haven't been really following who's dropped out or whatever, but Daniel McElroy, Sean Diver, and Pau Dwyer. Yeah. They've the three main lads I was looking at. I would genuinely love if they were there. Because for me personally, it's like a personal goal. It's not just to do with the whole competition, but like if I win the competition, I'm still going to think, well, I'd never bet Sean. I still want to beat Sean. And I never got to go up against Pa. I still want to go up against Pa. And I do believe Pa's an amazing athlete. He is. He's went very, very far. But he's beatable. And so is everyone else. And Daniel McElroy, I don't think he should have dropped out. He's a lot stronger than he thinks. He just needs to believe in himself that bit more. But I think it'd be really good if the three lads decide now, okay, do you know what? Strap on a pair, step up, and let's see what happens.
Obviously, there are three athletes that have dropped out, and you are correct. They're the three that you mentioned there. They are all top class. They've been at multiple very high level competitions. Yeah. Do you think that it is a little bit of worry that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to perform on the day? Like obviously with Pa, It's a little bit of a risk there if he was to come back and end up in the mid-table at a competition like this. It could damage his reputation. Same with Daniel. Do you think he's looking at it going, oh, I'm only at 95% or 90%, and I'm a little bit nervous about how it might be seen?
To be fair, I think they do have an awful lot to lose. Like, if they come in and they get bet by the likes of me, someone with 400 followers on Instagram, nobody knows who the fuck I am. If they come in and get bet by me, they have an awful lot to lose, where I've nothing to lose but everything to gain. Same with some of the other athletes in this show. Some of the other athletes are at a higher level, all right. The likes of McKeegan, he's really made it for himself. He really has. I just think I haven't had that opportunity to make it yet, but I think this is the opportunity and the time is now, and I'm going to act on it. But I do think that Pa especially has a lot to lose. And I can actually understand why he would be nervous, because he could look down the lane and go, well, if I lose this, where am I going now? He can't. And plus, I think what would be nice, though, is the fact that he's won 5 Ireland's Strongest Man titles. Killian has won 1. Sean has done 1. It'd be nice to see them all together and see, okay, who's going to call herself Ireland's Strongest Man at the end of that show? I think it'd be interesting to see who is Ireland's Strongest Man. And I think he has a lot to lose. I think that's why maybe he doesn't do it, or maybe he does. But the events are very good for him, so I don't see why he wouldn't do it. If he's as good as he is, step up. Let's see what happens.
I think he's probably looking at it like, I've way more to lose than to gain from it. However, obviously the question mark is there, will he get an invite to Britain's Strongest Man? If he doesn't do this, it's all up in the air. So it's a real gamble by not doing this show.
Yeah.
The rest of the lineup that's there, obviously it is the top athletes in Ireland.
Yeah.
Who out of it, if you had to pick one name that you're looking, that is the person that I feel like I'm going to be battling for that first place against? Who would you put up there with you?
I know I'm going to upset a few people here now, and I probably upset people that I don't want to upset, but I don't know. I think that Rory O'Hagan, he is a serious athlete. And he's just such a dark horse. He doesn't put nothing up there on the internet, which is brilliant. But people have to remember, he came second Ireland's Strongest Man this year. He nearly had Killian. But I do top 5. I'm going to predict my top 5. That's going to be a big battle. And in no order, it's going to be myself, McKeegan, Killian Groom, my brother, and Rory O'Hagan. And I picked that as top 5. I don't know what order that's going to be in, but I'm telling you that's going to be a battle, because every athlete I just named, including the rest are phenomenal athletes too, no disrespect to them. But looking at the events, looking at people's training, that's my top 5. But I believe every athlete that's there is worthy of being there and worthy of winning. I could be wrong, but looking at some people have weaknesses, but including the brother, he might have a weakness. McKeegan might have a weakness when it comes to the super yoke because he doesn't have the extra body weight. But then again, McKeegan is a phenomenal athlete. He is. And he pulls it out of the bag. He's never performed bad, ever. But I think the super yoke might get him a little. Now, I could be very wrong. And if I am wrong, I'm sorry to Matt. But that's my prediction. I predict top 5 is us, but I don't know in what order. I have no idea what order, but I'd like to see myself on top, to be fair.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd say you would like to see yourself up there. The name in there, though, that nobody else has mentioned, and I did say it in my build-up video, is Rory. I do agree with you there. I think he's a pure dark horse, but he has progressed so far, and he seems to just be so focused at the moment that I think I feel like there's a podium spot with his name on it. I don't know where, but I feel like top 3 is definitely a possibility for him.
If the other athletes don't think Rory is a threat, they need to take their head out of their arse and realize what's going on. Like Rory is a serious athlete. And the thing about him, he's like Novikov, like he said in his interview. He's just that same shape. He's not carrying much muscle mass. He's not carrying anything like that. If you saw him walking the street, you'd probably assume, like, okay, this guy, he probably goes to the gym, but he plays a few matches every now and then. You don't look at him as a strongman. But he is a serious competitor. And I think he's going to be one that's going to cause a lot of trouble to a lot of lads. A lot of trouble.
The sponsors that you have on board, I know a lot of this, like you say, you're similar to most strongmen in Ireland, where you're having to do your normal job. It's not at a level where in this country where you can be just a professional strongman and do that for a living. You have to do it in conjunction with normal life stuff as well, unfortunately. So the sponsors that are helping you out in getting to these competitions, who are they?
So Farrell Fitness, it's a gym here in Enniscorthy. Robbie is the name of the owner. He got on board with me, and to be fair, I owe a lot to that man. He's helped me out big time. Especially when it comes to getting my conditioning side of stuff done, I can use his gym because we have our own home gym where we get all the heavy stuff done. Because to be fair, strongman is very hard to do in a public gym because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and insurance just does not cover that. But Robbie, he's been an amazing sponsor for me, and my boss, David Quigley Autos. He actually, I work as a car valeter in a car dealership, and he sponsors me. To be fair, he's a very, very good boss, and I'd be lost if I was in a different job, to be honest. The only other job I want is full-time strongman. That's the only other job I want. And I'd be happy enough then. And then my other sponsors, really, I'm going to say, are probably my mom, dad, and my girlfriend. I'm going to say they're my sponsors. They help me out big time. So, and my training partners, they all help me out. I train with the missus the whole time. And my mother and father, they've helped me and my brother out massively. Like, they're the ones who provided the area where we have the gym. So, at the end of the day, we owe them a lot, and they've always helped us chase our dreams. So I think the reason I chased it, I put so much into it as well, is I also want to make them very proud. So, and I think I will. So, but they're my sponsors, and I'd like to thank them all very, very much.
Getting to the support that all these people are giving you, how important is it to have, number one, the supporting network behind you, but also how tough is it if you start looking at international competitions? How hard is it to get the finance behind you to actually go to these comps?
It's very tough. 2 years ago, I actually traveled to compete in England 3 times 2 years ago. And like that put me nearly in fucking debt. It's tough, and that's only England. If I had to go, like, I wanted to go to Clash, I just couldn't afford to do it. Now I'm also doing open weight now. I'll never ever do a weight class ever again. It just doesn't suit me. Like, I didn't even try to get this heavy. It just happened. So I eat very little food. I don't eat massive amounts. I don't follow any diet plan whatsoever. So I eat whatever I want. And whenever I'm hungry, I drink whatever I want. I don't care. But it's just because I want to prove that you don't need to be just this person who's obsessed to be the best. You can also live your life. You have to be able to live your life. You have to have fun. You have to be normal. You have to be able to do stuff with your family, friends, whatever. But I don't know. I think you need to remember there's a lot more to life than just competing, even though it's a lot of fun, and to win the likes of World's Strongest Man. But then you do have a life after, and you have to remember you have to keep everything right, and you have to make sure you have keep your loved ones happy. That's number one priority. You keep them happy, they're going to keep you happy. It's simple as that.
I love how you say you have to be normal. I don't think there's many of us in strongman that are normal. I think you have to be a little bit crazy to be in strongman.
That's true, yeah.
If anybody does want to follow along your progress and how you're doing in the sport in general, do you post much on Instagram, or what's the best way for them to actually keep track of you?
I actually only have Instagram. I don't have any other form of social media, to be fair. I'm crap when it comes to all this stuff. All I do is post training videos on that. But my Instagram is @StrengthByDean. That's my Instagram. So if anyone wants to watch my stuff, it's pretty boring, but sometimes the music is good in the video, so it's not too bad to watch.
At least there's something there for people.
That's it, yeah.
And you're a trainer as well, are you?
No, I used to train people. I don't anymore because work has taken over full time, and then doing my own training takes 2 to 3 hours a night as well. And then I like to sit down and watch telly and go sleep. So I don't really have much time to train anybody. The only person I train is my girlfriend. I train her. But other than that, I don't train anyone at all. So, I wouldn't mind doing a bit of online coaching, but I can't advertise yet because I don't have the time to put into the people yet. And there's no point half-arsing it.
That's a fair point, I think, anyway. Well, thanks very much for joining us for the chat, Dean. And we've only got a week left until the competition. Must be getting a little bit nervous for you at this stage.
So I have a question for you, Mark.
Yes.
Who's your top 3?
Oh, oh God. You know what? It's tough because I feel like my top three has been changing. The more I've had these interviews,
Yeah.
I
Now you have me on number one, don't you?
yeah, after this one, I just top three is going to be yourself. That's it. It is tough. I don't know. I feel like I know Rory. I think he's going to be top three.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're breaking up. And
oh, good.
so I feel like Jack will be in the top three as well.
Okay, that's good.
Then, do you know what? I'm gonna be diplomatic but mysterious. I'm gonna say one of the Doyle brothers will be the other one.
Oh, good. Maybe we'll rock up as Siamese twins and just come together. We classify as one athlete. Yeah?
There you go. You're fine. Just cover the tattoos. No one will know the difference. No one will know which is which. You do the deadlift and Dylan can do the overhead, and it's fine.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good athlete there.
Well,
Mark, thank you very much for having me on this as well. Thanks for taking your time.
That is no problem at all. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, loads of luck for a week's time, but I will chat to you up there on the day.
Thank you very much, Mark. See you then.
So in your own time, I'll say it again if you forget it, but go for it.
You don't have to say it again, Mark.